Hi everyone, my name is Gideon Besaidnout and I'm an application engineer for Micrographics. Today we're going to have a look at how we can utilize the multi-body design method within Autodesk Inventor and the assembly environment. And when it comes to the multi-body designing method, we know that it's a multi-body part that enables you to create your entire assembly design using different modeling features and commands and specific techniques. Now there's quite a few advantages, but there's also a few disadvantages. And one of them would be adaptivity. Now what adaptivity means is when the rest of your parts is dependent on your base part, adaptivity is created. That means when your base part updates, the rest of the parts would update accordingly. Now this can be beneficial, but you also need to be aware that sometimes you'll need your base to be changed, but the rest of the parts should not change. When you use adaptive, the rest of the parts would update with the base. So it's just something that you need to be aware of and have a look at. Now I'm going to go into the assembly environment and create a new standard metric assembly file. From here we can go and create our different components. To create your components or your parts, you can simply go to the create option and you can give it a specific name. Now this is going to be my valve body. I'm going to choose a template, ensure that my standard millimeter template is active, and you can also look at your BOM structure. From here I'm just going to say OK, and now I can select my origin planes. I'm going to choose my YZ plane just to put the base on. From here going to go and create my first sketch. As you can see, it is creating that adaptivity. I'm going to go and just choose a 2-point center rectangle, and this is going to be, let's say, 120 by 120 square. Going to go and utilize the fillet command just to break the corners and create a nice fillet. Going to finish this specific part or specific entity, and that's going to be 10 millimeters thick. But I'm going to go and continue creating my base parts on this model. Create another square entity, and this time it's going to be an 80 by 80 square. Choose the fillet, ensure that is only now a 10 fillet, just to break those corners. Going to say finish, utilize the extrude, and this needs to be around 60 thick. Create a 2D sketch. I'm not going to draw anything else, but I'm going to utilize the project geometry to bring in those edges at the back into the new plane and utilize that to create the entity. Start a 2D sketch. From here I'm going to choose a rectangle, and this is going to be, for instance, a 40 by 40 square. Use a few constraints just to get it symmetrical, and for instance, put in a circle there, that's going to be 30. Going to break the corners, choose a 5 fillet, just to break the corners. Finish it, use the extrude just to cut that completely through. And I'm going to say, let's say that is 35 deep, just as an example, not 350, just there we go. I'm going to share this sketch and utilize the extrude and cut that, let's say 5 millimeters, just to create that depth. From here I can switch off the visibility of that specific sketch. Now once this sketch, the visibility has been switched off, I'm not going to finish my part just yet, creating another circle on the top here. Just going to ensure that it is symmetrical. Just going to ensure that it is symmetrical. I did place it on that center, just ensuring that it is symmetrical and giving this a dimension of, let's say, 70 diameter. Gonna utilize the cut function, and this needs to go to a specific point, just choosing the back face to create the nice hole. And as we can see, we've got our first base part. From here I can go to return to the main assembly, and we've got our first adaptive part. I'm just going to move around in the origin and the view cube, and from here we can go and create our next parts. Going to utilize the create option. I'm going to call this, for instance, flange as an example. Choose the metric standard millimeter, and you can also choose the bomb structure. Going to utilize the same plane, start a 2D sketch on this face. Going to use project geometry and just bring in those specific entities, and you'll notice that it would create adaptivity because it's adaptive from the base part. And now I'm going to choose a polygon, for instance, and choose 8 sides and draw it from there. Just going to ensure that that is straight, and I can give it a specific dimension. For instance, let's say that is going to be 40, and now it would be fully constrained. From here I can go and extrude this part. Just select that specific entity, and let's say, for instance, this needs to be 45 mil thick. I can return, and now you can see how everything is starting to get together with the adaptivity. And that means if this part, the base part, updates, that part would update accordingly, because of the project geometry and the adaptivity that has been created. Now you can go and add all your different parts that's needed for your assembly. Just one thing that you need to be aware of is the adaptivity. you can go and right click on your specific part, and you'll notice that you can go and edit specific features. So if I go and make that active, here I can right click and I can choose to switch off the adaptive length. And just say return, and those work planes is no longer adaptive, but the flange still is, so you can break the link of adaptivity, but then it's no longer constrained. So just something that you need to be aware of when you utilize the multi-body design method within Inventor. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow for more content.